Hey everyone, Argonaut here from The Right Way, and we've got a new article about another protest happening in New Zealand. These are becoming more and more frequent, and I think the population is starting to wake up about how controlling this government is because they're too scared to do anything to advance New Zealand past the lockdowns that we have. I mean, setting a target of 90% across the whole of New Zealand to be able to move out of our lockdown system is just ridiculous because we're not going to get to that stage. So it'd be interesting to see what we go. So again, let's have a read about what's happened in Auckland. So if you're not in New Zealand, Auckland is the largest city. It's got about just over 1 million people in it. Police are extremely disappointed. Thousands of people again flouted the rules at another Auckland protest and warn a number of individuals will be prosecuted in the coming days. Up to 5,000 people gathered at the Auckland Domain, a breach of Alert Level 3 restrictions before marching to Newmarket and back. If you, police, why don't you go and arrest all the organisers of the BLM protest back in June 2020? You let those people off. Why did you not charge those people? Is that because they were protesting for BLM and not for freedom and rights for everyone? You should be arresting those BLM protest organisers back in 2020. You should be arresting them now as well, because you need to be consistent if you're going to charge people who are fighting for their freedoms in current day. The health risk posed to attendees as well as other road users was unnecessary and unacceptable. We recognise that individuals have a lawful right to protest, however, this should not be at the expense of restrictions designed to keep our communities safe. So basically, no matter how bad a job the government is doing, you can't protest, which is the only way that the government will actually take note of anything that anyone says. They don't give a shit about any normal person in New Zealand. The Labour government has a majority of seats. They can push through any legislation that they want, and we can't do anything about it. So protests are the only way we can actually do it. And good on you, those people who protested. I hope you're all vaccinated, but I certainly uphold your right to protest. So many people died in World War II so that we can have the right to protest, and whatever the situations are, we should always have our right to protest. The event, organised by the Freedom and Rights Coalition, was advertised as a family-friendly picnic with entertainment and speakers including teachers, business owners and freedom fighters. Well, actually, it wasn't a protest, it was a picnic, because in our current level 3 settings for Auckland, you're allowed to go out and have a picnic if you are socially distanced with one other person or one other family which is not in your bubble. So if there's all of the Auckland Domain where they held it is really big, there's lots of open space. So as long as everyone's socially distanced out, then they're just doing what they're allowed to do. So it's not really a protest, is it? Just being a bit facetious there. Attendees were asked to wear masks and maintain a 2-metre social distance from other groups at the picnic. A stuffed visual journalist at the scene said thousands attended, around half of whom wore masks. Not all were social distancing, and there appeared to be some intermingling bubbles. That is exactly what happened at the BLM protests. They told people to wear masks and a social distance, and half of the people didn't wear masks, and there was no social distancing at all at those protests. But of course, because it was BLM, they were allowed to get away with it. No arrests were made on the organisers. But obviously, when people fight for the freedom of everyone, not just for BLM people, you can't have that. We need to shut them down and arrest them. A similar protest was held on October 2nd, resulted in Destiny Church leader Brian Tamaki being charged for breaching the COVID-19 Public Health Response Act and Alert Level 3 restrictions. He was released on bail. I don't particularly like Brian Tamaki. I don't like his church. I think he robs from the poor people who are naive enough to attend his church and give it to him. But I don't think he should have been charged, because the precedent was set. The BLM organisers weren't charged. He shouldn't have been charged either, to be consistent. But because people hate him, everyone's very happy to charge him and maybe put him into jail or something. Then, following the second protest on October 16, Tamaki was charged with breaching his bail conditions, which included that he could not access the internet for purpose of organising or inciting non-compliance. Tamaki pleaded not guilty on all charges and was again remanded on bail. However, Judge Josephine Bouchier warned him that if he was charged again, he would be remanded in custody. Early on Saturday morning, a tweet was sent from Tamaki's Twitter account to the men of Auckland telling them to grow a set of balls and find other like breed and protest. A speaker at the event said Tamaki would not attend the protest due to previous charges in relation to his previous protests. So obviously he wouldn't. His wife did attend. Tamaki and the coalition have maintained that the protests are not organised by Destiny Church, although the coalition website states it is appreciative of Destiny Church volunteers who continually step up and help out when others are too afraid. So, yeah, it probably was organised by Destiny Church, but I don't really give a shit. If people want to protest, go ahead and do it. It's your right. Thousands of people showed up at the previous freedom picnics. Only a handful of police attended. They watched and took photos, but did not to take any enforcement action on the day. Gatherings are not permitted under level 3 alert restrictions. However, people may meet up with one other bubble to a maximum of 10 people for outdoor catch-up and are strongly encouraged to wear masks and social distance. Well, it sounds like that what they asked people to do. And it looks like they're kind of socially distanced and things. So, yeah, good on all of you that protested. I heartily support you. I hope you're vaccinated, because if you're not, then you might get a bit sick if you actually caught the virus. But we'll see what happens, I guess. But I certainly uphold your right to protest. And I think this government, the longer it goes on with these stupid lockdown restrictions, the more protests are actually going to be made. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you do you side with the protesters and their right to protest, or are you against their right to protest and think they should be, the organisers should be thrown in jail? Be interested to hear what you think in the comment section. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to give it a thumbs down. And if you like my content, please subscribe, as it just helps the YouTube algorithm to notice my content. Anyway, that's it for this one. Hopefully I will catch you in the next video.